Today, I'm doing some more maintenance on the Ford 1700 tractor. The focus is going to be on the front axle, changing the differential oil, and the oil in the final reduction gear cases. Per the operator's manual, this is a service that should be done every 300 hours, changing the front axle differential case oil, and also every 300 hours here for the final reduction gear case oil change. The oil to use is SAE 80 in both for temperatures under 86 or SAE 90 when it's over 86. So I'm using an 80W90 gear oil. This service is easiest done with the front wheels off. In fact, doing the final reduction gear case, which is right back in there, you really have to take the front wheel off in order to do that. I'm gonna take these off one at a time. I did use the loader here to pick up the tractor, and I did block it underneath the middle there so that it's stable. So these front wheels are currently off the ground. I'll give that a little spin. I did free those nuts before picking this up to this point. Now that we're in here, let's go over some sizes. This here is your fill plug for the front differential. This head right here is a 17 millimeter. Coming down underneath, that is the drain plug for the front differential. That is a 13 millimeter plug. When you look at the final reduction gear case, this is the fill plug, 19 millimeters. And then way down under here on the bottom, that's the drain plug. That's 13 millimeters, just like it is for the differential. In terms of oil capacity, the specifications in the manual say that the differential takes 2.5 US quarts, and the final reduction gear case here takes 0.23 US quarts. That's about a cup of oil. This one, you don't really have to worry about overfilling it because you basically just fill it up to the level of this plug here. The differential, there's actually a dipstick on that fill plug, and so you're filling it up to that level. What I'll do with that is fill it up with probably 2 quarts and then get the tractor back down on the ground off these blocks so everything is sitting level. Then I'll put the last in with it on level ground and use the dipstick to get it right up to the proper fill. I'm gonna start with the differential. First thing to do is open the fill plug. If there was ever any chance that I couldn't get this unthreaded and I had drained out all the oil, I'd be in a fine pickle. All right, so that's now unthreaded. Just for reference, there's that dipstick. I'm just gonna let that sit there, threaded in by about a thread. That'll help let air in, which will facilitate draining the oil. Now for the drain plug. We'll just let that drain on out of there. While that continues to drain, I'll go ahead and loosen the fill plug here on the final reduction gear case. Just unthreading it most of the way. That'll let air in when I do open the bottom to drain it out. And gear oil is a lot more viscous than motor oil. This can kind of drip for a long time. I'm getting close to being ready to put that drain plug back in though. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and put this plug back in. Just wipe up some of the drips before I tighten it down. Before I go refill the differential, I want to open the drain plug on the reduction housing here. some point in the past, someone was not so careful on this nut, and it's a little bit misshapen. While the final reduction gear case continues to drain, I'm going to go ahead and put 2 quarts of gear oil into the differential. There's nothing fast about gear oil. While that quart continues to drain into the differential, I'm going to go ahead and put this back in. The first quart's in. We're on to the second one. What I did with the last quart to help it drain is actually punch a hole in the bottom. Let air in. All right, I now have 2 quarts of oil in the differential. I'm gonna fill up this final reduction gear case. And this, the way you know the level is you just fill it up to the threads here. Let that settle a minute. I'm gonna go put some in the other side and then I'll come back and top this up. You really do have to be patient filling these because the air has to work its way out. Sometimes spinning the gear a little bit can help. Oftentimes what's going to happen is that oil level comes up and then an air bubble's got to work out, and then all of a sudden you find you got to put in some more. You just got to keep working it slow but sure. Thinking it's about there. The lighting just isn't sufficient with the camera to see this, but that oil is right there at the bottom of the threads coming up, and that's right where I want it to be. We'll go ahead and get the wheels on, and then we'll verify the level in the differential. Something I forgot to mention earlier, when you block up the front end of the tractor, chock the rear wheels and set the brake. All of that's done here to make sure that this thing couldn't roll on me. Let's just do a quick check. I haven't taken this off the blocks yet. That's interesting. Oil level looks like it's high. It's just 2 quarts and it looks like it's high. It may be that it still needs to settle down. Also, the tractor is still blocked up. So let's get it on the ground and see where we're at after I let it roll a little bit. All right, so I just took a spin outside, put it in 4-wheel drive, did a loop around the garage. This has now been sitting at rest level, so we'll see how we're looking. Looks to me like it's looking pretty similar. So we're at or slightly above that full line. Let me wipe a rag and try that. All right, let's go back in. Yep, I'd say we're looking a little above that full line. So I don't know if that means I didn't get all the oil out, or the manual doesn't say about having it threaded in versus sitting on top. Now that would be interesting, because if it were sitting on top, that would change where that level is. So if you take the reading with it resting on top, then all of a sudden, it's right in that okay range. Well, I did decide to drain a few ounces out because I don't want this overfilled. If you overfill an oil gear case, it can cause some issues with seals and things like that. This looks now to be right at the full line. And if I don't thread it, is it on the stick? Nope. Let's just confirm here. So if I thread it in, back it out, and yep, right at that full line. Get that focused in. So we're gonna keep it here. I'll check this after I put a little time on the tractor, but there's plenty of oil in there based on what I'm seeing here. Wouldn't want any more. Let's just snug this up. All right. She's ready to go. It's interesting that the operator's manual says that that differential holds 2.5 quarts at capacity when I drained it and then put 2 quarts in, and it was actually a little overfilled. So there's a good chance I didn't get all the oil out. On the other hand, it is possible that that's mispublished. I'm not sure. Regardless, next time, I guess I won't put the full 2 quarts in before I check it on the dipstick. Probably do 1.5 quarts and then start checking the levels and just see how full it is. Because you don't want that overfilled. That could cause issues with seals, and then you could get leaking oil and things like that. At any rate, this is done, and it's all set for the next 300 hours of operation. Well, I worked the tractor for about a half an hour, including shifting it into 4-wheel drive. And then I checked the levels for the oil in that front differential again. No change, so it does seem to be that that's correct, and it's at the correct level now. So I'm glad I drained a little bit out. If you have a compact tractor and it's 4-wheel drive, this kind of maintenance is routine for the front axle, and it's very, very common for that to be 3 gear reservoirs, not just one through the front differential. There are 3 separate gearboxes, one for each wheel, and then the differential in the middle. So do make sure if you're servicing your tractor that you service everything that needs to be serviced and you change all the fluid that does need to be changed.